Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. So I want to refresh because we didn't have a video yesterday for July 4th about where we were in Psalm 78 and in talking about not hiding from our children the precepts and instructions, the magnificent works that God has done, and creating a culture where they become curious and ask us questions about our God. So I want to read Psalm 78, starting in verse 1 again, and then we're going to dig into one last portion and we'll be moving on into Proverbs 31. He says, "Give ear, O my people, to my teaching. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable, in instruction by numerous examples, and I will utter dark sayings of old that hide important truth, which we have known and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, but we will tell to the generation to come the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, and his might, and the wonderful works that he has performed. For he established a testimony, an express precept in Jacob, and has appointed a law in Israel, commanding our fathers that they should make the great facts of God's dealings with Israel known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, that the children still to be born might arise and recount them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but might keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their hearts aright, nor prepared their hearts to know God, and whose spirits were not steadfast and faithful to God." And of course, that's talking about those Israelites that, well, way back in Numbers, didn't believe the report of the Lord, that Canaan land was not their promised land, or they said, we were in grasshoppers in their sight, and so we were in ours also. They were an unbelieving generation. And so the psalmist is telling us in this psalm that we recount to our children, that we teach our children who God is and what he has done, so that they have expectation of what to expect from him in their lives. And that leads us to what I really want to talk about today, and we'll finish in it tomorrow, is that testimonies as prophecy. And this is an excerpt from a sermon by Charles Spurgeon. And I'm going to read this, and then if we have time, we'll start today, but if not, we'll definitely dig into it tomorrow. This is from Charles Spurgeon, and he delivered this one. It was revised in 1859, okay? And it's from The Story of God's Mighty Acts. Now listen to this. "When people hear about what God used to do, one of the things they say is, 'Oh, that was a very long while ago. I thought it was God that did it. Has God changed? Is he not an immutable God, the same yesterday, today, and forever? Does that not furnish an argument to prove that what God has done at one time, he can do at another? Nay, I think I may push it a little farther and say what he has done once," I love this, "is a prophecy of what he intends to do again. Whatever God has done is to be looked upon as a precedent. Let us with earnestness seek that God would restore to us the faith of the men of old, that we may richly enjoy his grace as in the days of old." That God's works, these things that the children of Israel were commanded to teach to their children, these marvelous works of God, were prophecy of what he has done once, he would do again and intends to do again. Whatever God has done is to be looked upon as a precedent, that God has not changed. And I think sometimes, well, to make it easier on ourselves maybe, we tend to believe that the God of the Old Testament is a different God of the New Testament, and that the miraculous signs and wonders were for then, and then in the New Testament we have Jesus and grace, and that's it. But grace, that's what Charles Spurgeon just said here. He said, let us with earnestness seek that God would restore to us the faith of the men of old, that we may richly enjoy his grace as in the days of old. We are going to pick up here tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye, y'all.